Everybody, we are back. Mr. Derek Shelton joining us
What's up,
again.
man? How's it going?
Another episode. What's going on, dude?
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
still
coming
hot.
back.
It's October and still hot outside.
I know. I keep waiting on it to cool off, man. And I thought that we had it for a couple of weeks. I thought it was going to.
Yeah,
It did cool off for a little bit, and now, especially running outside and stuff, I was like, oh,
it
thank
is hot.
God.
It's hot. Yeah, we gripe when we'll gripe when it's cold here next week. So
Mhm.
this is just Midwest
Yeah.
Kentucky, Indiana weather for you.
Yeah, I don't mind the cold too much. The only thing that sucks is like once it gets sleety and that kind of weather and like
Yeah.
that nasty. But like the cold doesn't bother me. Um, I don't know. Even after like I spent some time living down in Florida and like living in some warm areas, but
It's like swamp weather down there, though. You can't really qualify that as heat.
yeah. By like 10 o'clock, you're just swamp ass completely through all your clothes and just
yeah.
dude, not a good time.
Dig Arizona. I really love going to Arizona.
Is that like dry out there?
It's dry. You can be like
Yeah.
115, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a little warm.
Yeah.
And it's not still comfortable.
Right.
Everybody's out walking.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just nice. So it's probably my favorite state to go to.
Really? Yeah, I haven't been out there to
Yeah.
Arizona. I think we went out there one time to New Mexico. I got a grandmother that lives in New Mexico.
Yeah.
We went out there for like
Probably the same.
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. What's crazy is we went oh God, I don't know what year this would have been. Probably like ooh, I don't know. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. But we went for Thanksgiving and they like all my relatives and cousins out there, a lot of them are coming from like California, and that's where I have a lot of cousins in like Southern California that live out there too. And they had come in and um you know none of them had saw snow. Like I
Right.
remember them talking about weather,
Yeah.
none of them saw snow. Well, this is like during Thanksgiving that we
Mhm.
all fly in, having this get together.
Mhm.
And the day before we fly out, it snows. We
Nice.
come walking down out of the hotel, walk out the front door, and it's like a blizzard. And like all my cousins are literally outside, standing there,
Plastered to the window, right?
just looking at the
Okay.
sky. And like to see that, that's a crazy thing to see.
Yeah.
Like, especially whenever like these are people that I had just met for the first time, but
Right.
people that you're related to, or whoever, and then it's like to watch their reaction to snow, and you're like, wow, this is crazy.
It's crazy that you bring that up because I was telling this story the other day. There was a girl that moved to my elementary school in like 5th grade from Miami
Mm,
and never saw
Yeah.
snow. And like so, whenever it started snowing during school one time when she first moved there, they let her like go sit in the library and just like peer
Yeah.
out the window the entire time. She was just like it's fascinating
Wow.
to see that. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it was just bizarre. Like it hadn't snowed in, it was like 10 years or something since it saw snow. And it was
Right.
like the week that we were there.
Right,
And
yeah.
like it snowed, and I was like,
Yeah.
what are the chances of
I
this?
think if you get up in those like four corner areas, that there's still some weather that kind of gets not what you would think would be in Arizona, New Mexico weather,
Yeah.
So
Well, I know we was only like, we was about, because we went to Mexico for a
Mhm.
day. Went down and crossed the border and went down and went into some little authentic Mexican, restaurant. My
Mhm.
grandma, told us, like, don't order the water,
Right. Exactly. Right,
Uh, I remember we were leaving there too, and just driving down the road, and this little, dirt roads. That's
right.
really giving it
Yeah,
something, And and this little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, comes right up to the window and was like knocking on the window, and my dad handed her a $20 bill out of the window, and dude. Oh, well,
Yeah.
she did. Well, my dad like was
Yeah.
telling her, he was like, because you could see her mom,
Uh-huh.
and my dad was telling her, he's like, take that back to your mom. Like,
Mhm.
take it to your mom. And she kind of like wandered around with it for a minute. And like, she was like, she didn't know she was going to take it back. Because like $20, I'm sure they're probably used to getting like maybe $1 or something.
Right.
And but the 20, she kind of walked around with it and was like, didn't really know she's going to take it
Hang on
back
to
to her
this
mom.
for a bit.
Yeah. Like, because, I'm the wealthiest person in the city.
Yeah,
right now,
hey, look at this.
Yeah,
You don't want to do that anymore.
she had power for a minute,
Sure. Yeah.
and yeah, it was just a crazy thing to see, $20, and she took it
Yeah.
back to her mom, and like, they all just like started crying or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
and you're just like,
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, culturally, it's so much louder. My son and I recently went to Toronto. I'd never been to Canada before. We went up to Toronto a couple weeks back, and everybody is super nice. But man, it's just different. It's just just different. And you know, and I'm a small town guy.
Yeah,
You know, this is about as big as I get on the routine. You know, we'll go
sure.
to Louisville, Nashville, St. Louis. You know, those kinds of places. But when you get into these huge New York,
Mm,
Toronto, all these humongous cities, and you know, Toronto in particular, I mean, we stayed right outside of the airport, and to get into downtown was like, you know, it's like a 35-minute cab ride or an
yeah,
Uber ride, you know, and
yeah,
so it and like I even asked the guy, I'm like, we still in the same town,
yeah,
you know, and the only other thing that I can, you know, like Atlanta is humongous as far as
yeah,
like, you know, like geographic spread, you know, it's just a
sure.
humongous city.
Yeah.
But man, it's just different. You still get culture shock, even you know, adhere to get that. So,
Yeah, did you see a lot of differences like in Toronto? Because I lived with you know, it's funny. I went in college. I lived with two Canadians
uh-huh,
that were from, I think like Waterloo, maybe. I think
uh-huh,
it's like right outside Ontario, which I
uh-huh.
think they said was about 45 minutes from
Right.
Toronto
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And man, dude, those guys were something else, dude.
Yeah.
Like
They're
just
the natives there are wild. The problem, not the problem, but you know, the issue is that there's not many of them. So when
mm,
we went up there we went up there to a concert, you know, 'cause that's what we
gotcha.
do. And
Who'd you go see up there, Drake or what?
no, we went there a System of a Down and Deftones
Oh,
were up there.
okay.
So
Yeah, yeah,
we went up there. The System of a Down was one of my bucket list bands. Highly recommend. They're fantastic live. So,
hell yeah.
um, but you know, we didn't run into any true Canadians really until we were in line for the concert. You know, and
Mm,
um, Toronto, I don't know if they call them sanctuary cities up there, but there's a lot
yeah,
of immigrant, I mean, a
yeah.
lot of immigrants up there.
Yeah,
You
I think
get,
they have a bunch of the sanctuary cities in Canada.
yeah. So there was um, the people that were in, there was a father and daughter in line with us that were from Waterloo.
Mm,
So that they, you know, they had come down. They're like, you know, you know, it's very prevalent. You know,
wow.
walk the line and
Damn.
say it's an issue, but you know, they kind of,
Yeah.
it was
Well, that's crazy. That's, you know, and you know, that's a big issue now.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, going on right now and like, you know, a lot of different stances on it. And you know, I think it's pretty apparent though what, you know, things like mass immigration do
Oh yeah.
to the wholes of nations and you know, you're not, you know, and it's like it's not even it's really hard to talk about some of those things without being labeled like a racist or
Certainly.
whatever
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
That's always
And
what I was talking you like walk on thin ice with it, you know, but
it, it's like why can't I just be like why can't I just I don't know. It just seems weird to me because it's like I just wouldn't and of course, you know, I don't have to deal with like
Mhm.
we're not like a war stricken
Right.
country and I
Sure.
have to deal with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like I said, I think once you get into this mass immigration and like you don't even recognize the neighbors hardly anymore. Like
Right.
I don't
Right.
think we've seen that as bad in this area,
Mhm.
but I hear of like these other cities, like you're saying in like Canada, where you're
Yeah.
not even running into like real Canadian, like true Canadians, and
Yeah.
like I think this area hasn't noticed it as bad. I don't know. It seems like probably places like Portland
I mean, my
or like
personal opinion on it is that I'm a dumb white boy, right? I'm
yeah,
a dumb white boy that
right,
grew up with both parents, and you
yeah,
know, and really never had to worry about war or famine or anything
yeah,
like that. I really shouldn't have opinion on any of these kinds of
yeah,
things. You know, I'm not the person, you know, to ask about
yeah,
what it is, you know, what my thoughts on immigration are, because I don't
right,
know. I don't know both sides of the coin at all,
sure,
you know. And only child, only grandchild, both
yeah.
parents, you know, upper middle class family growing up, you know. So I I
Right.
I should not have an opinion on
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. It's well, and like I said, it's you know, I don't think you see it as much in this
Hmm.
area as far as you know
Yeah.
being like cities overrun with people
Right.
speaking
Yeah.
different languages or
Sure.
like
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Yeah.
I think even in an area like ours and like
Yeah.
some of the jobs around this area without immigrants, like this area would probably be in trouble. There'd probably be a lot of
Oh,
areas, a lot of places.
100%. Yeah.
It'd
I
be
mean, yeah,
it'd be pretty bad for.
certainly.
Uh,
Certainly. I think that there's things out there that, you know, that there's jobs that need to get done, you know,
yeah.
and whether or not, um, gosh, I don't like walk like word choice here, but
Yeah, sure.
it's like whether or not people such as myself are going to do those jobs, or people
Right.
from other cultures are more willing to do those
Yeah.
jobs. I don't know.
Well, that's
Uh,
just a fact.
yeah,
They're more willing to do things that the white people aren't.
right. Yeah,
It's
sure.
like that,
Yeah,
I'll be the first one to admit they
yeah,
do a lot of jobs that I don't want to do.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Well,
eh,
they're not willing to do anymore because there's just not there. The I think a lot of it has to do with the way that we are kind of taught the way that we're supposed to live, or the expectations that we have to live. And a lot of those jobs don't sustain those lifestyles anymore.
sure. Yeah.
So we're not going to do them. However, that job still exists and needs to be done. If you have to find people that are willing to do that.
Yeah,
Seems like.
I started reading this book called The Precipice, and it's talking
Mhm.
about like the area, like the time that we're in now. You had like the agricultural revolution, and
Right.
then you had the industrial revolution. It's
Mhm.
like it's kind of like what's the era of time that we're in now, and it's really interesting to think about. It's like we really are like in a time now where this might be like the most influential. I think just due to the fact that we have powers now unlike ever before to end ourselves as a whole.
Mhm.
And that's like kind of scary to think about whenever
Sure.
even just like a nuclear weapon or like AI
Mhm.
technology, who knows whenever we get to the point of AI technology, whenever it's
Right.
like what happens the day that AI technology gains its own perspective,
Right.
and then it starts operation off of like
Right. Yeah.
its own way that it's
I think
perceiving
I think
things.
that's called T2. That's that Terminator movie, right?
Yeah.
Skynet or
And so
whatever. Yeah.
the book is really
Mhm.
interesting and like it's kind of like I don't know, I'm kind of getting like doomsday feelings from it like
Sure.
reading it,
Yeah.
but it is interesting. But it was in that book it made reference to during the Industrial Revolution about how it was one of the best things that's happened, but also it was super tough for a lot of people and still is to this day because the way that like um basically the money that people are making is just not keeping up with the type of products that are being produced,
Sure. Yeah.
the things that we're buying into and feeding off of, whatever it is that we're
Right.
kind of content whatever it is, it's just
Right.
like our lifestyles, like kind of like you just said, our lifestyles are
Right.
just like becoming so expensive and other things aren't lining up.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm fortunate enough to still have my mother around, and and every time that we talk about price of something, she always brings up the fact of what their house cost in like 1970. You
mm,
know, so there's a lot to be there's a couple different sides of that argument. Like that boomer plus class,
mm-hmm.
of people that are still around. You know, times. I mean, that was 50 years ago at this
Yeah,
point. So yeah, things are going to change.
right, yeah.
Um, you know, the argument doesn't hold true anymore that, well, by the time I was your age, I owned a house. Well, yeah, of course you did. I could buy 4 houses for what my car
Yeah,
payment is for right now,
yeah,
like that kind of thing,
right,
So if the prices were the same, then we would all own houses,
sure,
but it's not the same anymore. So that
yeah.
just doesn't hold true. Uh,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't think life is harder per se. I don't know, I wouldn't be able to form an opinion on that, but life is certainly way more expensive,
Sure,
you know,
yeah, at
uh,
every level.
at every level. Right. Yeah. So you know, those are endless arguments. I do appreciate the doomsday kind of conversation though, because,
Yeah.
you put, when you look into perspective of what does that mean? What
Mhm.
is doomsday? Does it mean elimination of us as a species, or does it like the eliminating the need of us?
Mm. Well,
So
that's what. So
yeah,
it's like touching on both right
right,
now,
yeah,
which is
right,
which is
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and yeah, that's kind of a perspective that I hadn't fully really
right,
kind of thought about. And like I said, and I get really into this stuff just because I find it to be interesting.
hmm
But like I said, it can kind of be maybe like nervous reading it because you're like,
all of a sudden I'm losing sleep over it.
yeah, you're like,
Right,
holy cow!
right.
It was it talked about during like, I think it was the Industrial Revolution. That's the time that age, the how long people were living
hmm
jumped from, people were living like max of 40 or 50 years before the Industrial Revolution. And then
hmm
after that's never it jumped to like 75 and 80.
Yep.
And I believe it was 1800, the oldest age that people were living to be out of all the continents was
hmm
in Iceland, and it was 50 years old.
hmm
And just 18, and like that's not that long ago.
No.
Not
No.
Yeah, all basically just due to just the progress that we made during those times. But getting kind of into back to where we're at now, how now is we're kind of at that turning point of like we have potential to basically
Hmm.
burn it all down,
Right.
or we continue on this path of, and then like it was just then what do you do once we get? I don't know. To me, it's like how much farther do you go with it before? It almost seems like you're purposely trying to get this stuff to, which that's kind of now you're getting
Yeah.
into like conspiracy
Oh
theory of
yeah,
like
sure. Oh
the
yeah, yeah. Which I like. I can go down that rabbit hole
which
too.
it makes sense. I mean, you see everything that they're trying to push with AI and taking
I
people's
think
jobs and
I think AI is a challenge to humanity.
mm,
So if it's not us against AI, I think it is we have to learn how to leverage AI for the greater good.
yeah,
Because AI is there's going to be jobs that are lost. There's already jobs that are lost because of AI, right?
hmm
Like you can, many times we've been into a fast food restaurant or something at an airport
I
where
don't
it's
even need. I use the self checkout thing like at Huck's, the gas
sure,
station.
yeah,
Like I
yeah, and
don't
not that
even.
that's AI, but that's
Oh, is
just
that not?
just
But
simple
just like
technology
yeah,
eliminating
yeah,
humans, right? Or
right.
human jobs, Um, but I think that AI is I think you know is just kind of the pinnacle of where we're at with just this constant quest for efficiency as humans. If you wanted to know something in the 1920s, you know, we had to hire, a
Yeah,
researcher and an archaeologist or whatever and go find that stuff.
right.
You take all that data and you culminate it together. Well, then you have encyclopedias, right?
Sure.
So then everybody was buying these encyclopedias, and that's what you would always refer to. Mail, you know, if I wanted to send you a letter 30 years ago, it had to go through the mail service. Well, now I can text you.
Right.
So it's this evolution of efficiency. That's where AI comes from. People don't we're a culture of instant. Well, I don't want to do this spreadsheet, So I get on Chat GPT or whatever it is that I'm using and say, construct me a spreadsheet that gives me my return on investment on this product. And it's done,
Yeah.
So you're not, but you don't have a department of like 5 or 6 people doing that anymore. Well, it's
Right.
a real slippery slope,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. Where's the is there a moral there's a moral issue in this, right? Something that's like coming to my mind, I'm thinking like because the people that are going to be set, kind of, losing from this and people
Hmm.
that are going to like lose jobs and that are probably going to struggle from things like this. It's kind of like, and it's not even those people's
Hmm.
decision,
Right.
It's
All right.
it's
Yeah.
just like wealthy people in the
Sure.
world that are
Yeah.
like coming up with these things that have
Right.
now some
Right.
sort of mass control, and that's why it gets linked to like you see any sort of I don't know if you're like a spiritual guy or
Yeah.
not, a religious guy, but like is there some sort of like evil side to that? You think like as a whole, that's what
Sure. I think.
a
Yeah.
lot of people
Yeah.
say AI, is going to be the Antichrist one day, and it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
um,
I was listening to a thing the other day where the guy was, they were explaining that, blockchain was the mark of the beast.
yeah,
And this kind of religious scholar, techno scholar kind of person, but also religious, was interviewing all these Silicon Valley guys and asking, like describing what the mark of the beast is from a theologian standpoint. And they were, these people that work on the blockchain, they were all like, oh yeah, yeah, that's what it is. So if you're tying a
yeah,
lot of that stuff in, then I don't,
right,
again, what your beliefs are or whatever. But and I am completely ignorant when it comes to religion. So it's just me listening to and regurgitating
right,
what I'm hearing.
yeah.
But they were again those yeah. He was like, yeah, those guys were like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah, have you the Silicon guy? Have you got into like Peter Thiel
oh yeah,
and like
yeah,
read into him
sure,
and the I don't know if I had shared this on another. I'll see if I can pull it up here in a
yeah.
second. The interview with Peter Thiel whenever he was
When he pauses about humanity, like the death to all
the
humans or something like that. Yeah, and the interviewer is like, I mean, it's a gotcha moment, right?
yeah,
And a lot of those guys aren't going to, nor should he like answer quickly, that kind of thing. But
right,
you have to telegraph those answers. But
yeah, because the the way he worded at the beginning, I think he said like, "Should the human race endure?"
right,
is what he said, which like, you know, It's like the way you worded it is kind of strange. Should it
Hmm.
endure? It's like, I don't know. What is that?
Right.
Typically, most people probably just be like, yeah.
Right.
But then he like devils back on it, and he's like, should the human race like carry on?
Hmm.
And he just like hesitates for so long. And the I don't know if you saw the meme video, dude, where it was like his PR team or whatever, like
Oh,
that it kept him like,
scrambling.
yeah, they just slowly start leaving the room and get out of there. That video is hilarious.
I think it is coming. I think it's inevitable. Right? I think that we as humans have to be responsible enough to our own self and to our own fellow humans to learn how to leverage it, be responsible with it, serve it for the greater good. Is there going to be evil associated with it? Is there going to be people that use it for dastardly deeds? Of course,
Sure.
But I think that it is in, I think it's just an evolution of efficiency. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have to do anything really
Right.
anymore, which makes me dumb. It makes me feel dumb,
Yeah.
but my productivity and efficiency goes through the roof, right?
Right.
So if I know how to prompt well, which there's entire classes and courses on how to AI prompt.
Mm.
So you can generically ask Chat GPT something,
Hmm.
and you're going to get a generic response.
Sure.
The better you are at prompting, getting into the specifics and things like that, well, the better product you're going to get out. It's garbage in, garbage out. It's basic computer knowledge, right? So if I
Right.
put in garbage, some garbage prompt,
Yeah.
I'm going to get garbage out of it. But if I can learn how to really make these kind of elaborate prompts, it still has to work off me.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think we're still at that point. It's not
Right.
sentient yet. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not, yet. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Not
Who
the one I
knows?
use anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The one they got somewhere in the black site. That's
Exactly.
yeah. That's actually yeah. It is such an interesting thing because, like you said, up to this point, I guess being the day that it does become sentient, and
Mhm.
instead of basically just using probably sort of the generic basic code that it's only been given from a human
Mhm.
brain, right? It'd be the day that, it's kind of like it stops needing that.
Mhm.
I guess it sort of almost like starts equating on its own
Yeah.
and starts like,
Yeah.
and that's I guess like that's to me, that would be really hard to replicate because that now you're getting into like the soul of a human, right? And I think
Sure.
that's what like, because without that, we would just be like a skeleton
Mhm.
of metal
Yeah.
or flesh or whatever you made us out
Sure.
of.
Yeah.
It would be just
Well,
whatever.
I mean, it's like robots. Robots can do our job, but is it human?
Right.
What makes a human? It's our consciousness. It's our ability to tell between good
Compassion,
and evil. Right. Those kinds of
language.
right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The way that you and I are expressively interacting with each other, other than
Sure.
now, I'm sure there's a point to where that it gets to that. It may be there already at DARPA or Boston Scientific or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, but
Right.
or Boston Dynamics or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
um, I, you know, it's not there yet. I use it all the time. I am guilty of it. I can definitely tell that over the course of my time using it, that it has learned from me. Like it,
Mm.
like it doesn't ask me certain things anymore. It just plugs it in and it's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah. I see.
So it's basically, it's learned how I want things,
What if
which
that's how
is
it starts?
kind of wild, but
They
right.
just
That's exactly how it starts.
they
Right.
deploy
Yeah.
it to the general
Right. So
public, and what they're doing on the backside is they're finding out exactly
there's
what
some
everyone
big
is
Derek out there
asking.
talking to people, check,
Yeah, that sounds
Derek
exactly
checkpoint.
like you. It's learned what you like.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of audio and video of both of us online that
Yeah.
they could do that easily. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've
Yeah.
I get into also like Palantir. You said
No,
you know
yeah,
about
sure.
Peter
Yeah.
Thiel, so you obviously
Yeah.
know about Palantir.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about these things on the last couple episodes, and people are probably
Yeah.
getting tired of hearing about it, but I can't stop because it's so real to me.
Sure.
It's like, no, these are very real things happening in
Yeah.
the world that I
It's
think
real.
more people should at least just have some knowledge about and
Yeah.
understand, the very basics that, at least I always joke about like you should at least learn enough to like understand the fact we pay taxes to pedophiles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm always like. If you can at least learn that much,
Right.
then you're ahead of most. Like, just at least get to the point where you accept that.
Right, yeah.
Then we can probably have an honest conversation about some stuff. But like, if you don't even believe that, then we're just not on the same page.
Well, but I think that
But
there's a very dear friend of mine who watches, gets everything from the media that is readily available to
Mhm.
her, and it is, when you bring up stuff like Palantir,
Mhm.
which isn't discussed. It's discussed on the channels that you and I listen to, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's not discussed. And so when you mention that to those people, they're
Yeah.
like, whatever, no, it's not, and so trying to, like, yes, it is. I mean, it's a proven thing. It's there,
Well, I mean, it's being deployed in wars
sure, right,
currently.
yeah,
That's what a lot of people just think like, oh, Palantir, the way they try to sell it on it, the way Trump and whoever they try to sell it, is this just like basic index of people that's just
sure,
like it's just good for them to know for whatever reason. No
right,
one even really even
right,
explained why they even
right,
still need to have this kind of thing. Or that's not true. I think originally they had rolled it out sort of under the consensus of like they were going to use it to pick up illegal immigrants,
mm-hmm.
and also under the ideas of they're going to stop crime before crime happens. They're going to be
Right.
able to maybe be able to build these profiles of
Minority report,
people.
yeah.
I know that this guy's, a hothead and he's got a string of
Right.
5 charges in the past
Mm-hmm.
2 years. It's like, what's he doing on a
Yeah.
Friday night?
Sure. Yeah, let's follow
See
him
him
for a little
stumbling
bit.
out of the bar and
Right,
then try,
yeah.
it's just weird. Like it's a whole surveillance state
Mm-hmm.
is what it's starting to
Right,
be, in my
yeah.
opinion. Then like the you have to remind like the government that is wanting to use this here, they also sell it to a government, Israel, that
Mm-hmm.
is, rolling it out over in Gaza and
Mm-hmm.
is using it to drone down and kill women and children.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like that's the same technology that they're wanting to deploy,
Yeah.
and um
Yeah,
I it,
so whenever we were in Toronto, there was tons of pro-Israel, pro-Palestine demonstrations.
really
Yeah, they're everywhere,
wow
everywhere. Uh, Uncomfortably to white bread American kid and
really
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was, because again, you don't see that,
yeah yeah
and whenever I hear people claim either side, it's just like the Russian-Ukraine thing.
mm,
I don't doubt your allegiance to either side.
sure
I just want to know why. Like, what is it that? But I'm the guy that, like, I don't have a team. Like, I don't have a team that I watch. I don't. I'm not
right
a. I'm
right
not a. So I don't. I don't understand the sides. I would love to hear their perspective.
yeah
Where it comes from. But me and my 17-year-old son, who we walk around the streets of any town USA
sure
fine, both made the comment that were like, I just
yeah
don't feel easy. Like I don't feel relaxed.
That's well, that's a level of hatred
Yeah.
that the people on the streets of America have not really had to experience.
Right, yeah.
9/11, of course,
Right.
and you can go back to Pearl Harbor and these
Yeah.
types of things. Um, but as far as those were kind of one in big hits out. We've never been under invasion.
Yeah.
Luckily, and I don't think that would ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but these other countries that the active war zones that people
Right,
are living in,
yeah.
where your homes,
Right.
the everything is
Right.
under, that's a different level of hate that you luckily we're not used to seeing. And then whenever you start to see it overpour into the streets of these other countries that like Canada, which they've gone a little soft in my opinion over there. Like you've gotten soft, brother.
Yeah.
Like that'd be my opinion to Canada. Canada, if you're listening, I think you've gotten a little soft, okay? Just my opinion. But anyway, uh, you know, it's not something that you see, or at least in this area. Like I said, there's probably cities or something here in America where you're seeing a little more.
Yeah.
But probably not so much the Israel Palestine stuff. That's still a pretty hush hush topic around here, and it's turning. It's turning.
Yeah, there was a lot of passion up there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of passion, and again, I'm not anti-pro or either side. It was just for me and for my kid to be walking around. It was just like,
Yeah.
because I know what you see and you hear, right?
Right.
You know, and those, so Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, you know, uh, those I don't know what, I'll listen to one perspective and be like, oh, that's right, you know, and then you hear the next one, it's like, oh yeah, piss on those guys. Like, what
Yeah.
are they doing? You know, like kind of like, it's because that's out of complete ignorance. Like
Sure.
I don't know, I don't know any Ukrainians, I don't know
Right.
any Russians, I don't know any, you know, any people that lived in Gaza. You know, like I
Right.
don't, you know, or yeah, and and not that you have to have that to form a humanitarian, you know, thought on it, but you know, it's I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know.
It's you know, I would be lying if I said that I'm not completely consumed by it.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know, maybe that's because
Yeah.
I'm, like I said, I'm just this, you know,
Mhm.
lucky white dude
Right. Yeah.
from, you know, small town Indiana,
Right.
Illinois, and
Yeah.
like I'm blessed in that sense. So like I don't have to have those kinds of worries.
Hmm.
So it gives me time to just sit around and
And
try to learn about someone else that has to deal with these
sure.
things.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I've been so involved, like right there. I got a copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I
Yeah.
just went
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
the other day. I got a
Okay.
copy of the U.S. Constitution,
Right. Yeah.
and I bought a copy of the
I
Quran.
see your Quran up there. Yeah, I saw that a while ago. Yeah.
You know, which
Yeah.
is, I told Bradley we were walking out of Barnes and Noble. I said, "This is a list of books that gets you put on a list." Like,
Hope you paid cash.
yeah. If someone sees me walking out here with a Quran
Yeah.
and the Dead Sea Scrolls and a copy of the U.S. Constitution, thinking
Right.
like,
Yeah.
this motherfucker
Yeah.
is up to something. Like,
There is some sort of sleeper cell somewhere.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
you know, and but like I just want to learn, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to expand my view on it, and I've gotten like back into like I've opened up my Bible and I've been reading it
Mhm.
every morning. I'm just trying to learn and like try to make sense of some stuff, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
And
I am I would be far I mean, I don't know how to put this. I'm so incredibly ignorant when it comes to religion.
me too.
Like I did not a great household, you know, like I said, mom and dad around. It was wonderful. We didn't go to church.
Yeah.
Just wasn't part of my upbringing.
Hmm.
I didn't really have any friends that really went to church, so I just
Sure.
not like had that kind of opportunity to go with them, you know. So I'm not atheist. I'm not agnostic. I'm not a Satanist or anything like
Right.
that. I'm ignorant when it comes to it, you know.
Yeah.
And I've never, you know, but I believe in God. I believe in this stuff. It's just not a humongous part of my life. I
Right.
think that I have a moral compass, you know,
Sure.
that can tells me what's good and wrong and what I think is good for man and not good, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I make wise decisions off that, and maybe there is some, you know, buried in my subconscious mind, you know, that's having a impact on my decision making, you know. But as far
See,
as
to
being
me,
able
like
to
that's
recite that to you,
God.
yeah, I
me-
agree. So I'm the same way. Yeah,
To
yeah,
me, like that, like kind of what you just explained is God. That's like
yeah,
that moral, whatever that
Yeah.
is, in your body that
Mhm.
I think most people have that
Mhm.
like you don't really know, but you just know. There's just like things that you just
Mhm.
don't do, and
Mhm.
there's like just lines that you don't cross, and
Right.
there's like just there's something in you that pulls that's like hey, like we're
Right.
getting. And whenever you get, if you've ever, you know, some people are just they're just good freaking people,
Yeah.
and they don't toe that line.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, for some of us that have towed that line and have tended to play on the other side of it, you know, it's like you can almost kind of feel that like inside you. You know, there's almost like there's something erotic about or
Yeah.
erotic, exotic, you know, whichever word I'm looking for.
Appealing.
There's something exciting about
Right,
it, you know, there's something
Right.
like it gets you kind of, but like at the same time, it can be like maybe that's like I said, maybe that's what God, you know, inside you is like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, you're at that line, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's
and you can is that your soul talking? Is that your what is it that's pulling at the
Yeah.
inside of you? There, again, so kind of make it coming full circle here. What separates us from the robots and from AI maybe is the ability to do that. You know, the example of asking Chat GPT how to make a bomb.
sure,
You know, it won't it'll tell you that it's wrong,
right,
but you can manipulate it
yeah.
into telling you how to make a bomb. You know,
Right. Yeah, because it doesn't pick up on that
Right.
yeah, that level of whatever that is,
Yeah.
compassion or
Yeah.
whatever it is that emotion or feeling or like you said, soul, whatever you want to
Sure.
call it.
Right. Yeah. There's something in there
Yeah.
that's if you and I are going through that, I'm gonna be able to pick up on that. I'm like, Chase, I
Yeah.
think you're asking me how to make that bomb again.
Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, wait, no, I think I see what you're trying to get by here. It's like, yeah, you're not hiding it very
Remember
well.
last week when you asked me how to make a bomb, and now I think that
Right.
your
Yeah, I said,
questioning, your line of questioning is a little bit
yeah, just
suspect.
because now you're asking
Yeah.
me, like, where do I get, just some like list of ingredients. It's like, I know what the list of ingredients is, dude. Like, what are we doing here?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um, yeah, there's a study they've been doing. I don't know if it's in the United States or if it's overseas somewhere, but they've been people that have signed up for it. Whenever they pass away, they're basically people that are in the process of dying. They're allowing their bodies to be evaluated in the process of dying, and then because there is we have an electrical
Mm-hmm.
field around us. There is like an electrical charge inside of us,
Yeah.
and so they're like getting to the point where they can actually monitor that electrical charge leaving your body,
Right.
and then they can pick up on it. Like they kind of watch this charge leave the body,
Yeah.
and like they're trying to capture it
Yeah.
and figure out like where it's going. It's
Yeah.
a really bizarre thing.
Yeah. There's measurable. There's like a measurable like impedance, around the body. That I've heard of that too. Now, you know, in the States, a lot of our government gets in there a lot of that stuff. So whether or not where it's coming from and how it's being conducted is good. But yeah, I've heard of that as well.
I think it's up in Canada now. They're just like letting you off yourself whenever you're ready to end it up there. Like whenever
Yeah.
you've had enough, you just can you get in your pod or whatever it is. Is that what
Yeah.
it is? Like these little sleep pod
There's
things?
a pod and yeah, I forget the exact process that it goes through, but yeah, you can. There's some sort of invented death pod up there that you can they allegedly and like
Yeah.
if you have intractable depression and you have
Yeah, no,
suicidal ideation,
they're
they're
definitely
like, okay,
doing
well,
it.
if you want to do it, go ahead, and
Yeah.
like, jeez.
I don't know the exact
Yeah.
like qualifications if
Right.
it's like, but yeah, I knew it was a real thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that seems like a wild, and I don't know. I couldn't imagine ever doing something like that, obviously. But it just like kind of going back to like what like our ideas of God are. The story came to my mind. I forgot about. I was going to tell you. Whenever I was buying this book, right, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
So the Dead Sea Scrolls, like, are you familiar?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
for the people that aren't too familiar, it's it's the second oldest account of biblical literature to ever be discovered. It was discovered, I think, around 300 to 4, or no, that's incorrect. It was discovered in the 70s. Whenever they found it in this like cave, I believe it was like south of Egypt, a little like southwest of Egypt or something like that. And in this cave, they found all these, basically like tablets that had literature, and turns out it's biblical literature. And on these tablets, again, this is like 400 BC, and some of these tablets had the exact same literature that like you found in the Bible, had the exact same stories. And you're talking about stuff that comes 400 years before Christ,
Right.
According to biblical text. And there's one thing, some amulet. There's one thing that's older than that. And it's just like a little amulet they found like this big that's got like some shit scribbled on it, and that's like the oldest one. So anyway, this is supposed to be like the second oldest one. The Codex, whatever, is the third after that, and in the Bible. But the Bible wasn't written until like 700 years, I believe, after this. So, anyway, so this book, I was wanting to read it, right? Being one of the oldest texts that you can get with religion and religion literature and things of that nature. So I told Briley the other day, I'm like, on Friday I want to go to Barnes and Noble. I got a book I want to get. And she goes, "Oh, you're back on a book kick," because she knows how this goes. I go and get a book and I read like a couple pages and I don't read anymore. And I said, well, I'm on a religious one. I said, I want to get the Dead Sea Scrolls. I said, it's like the oldest, that you can read about religion, and it's got like the Book of Enoch in it. It talks about Nephilim and the angels coming down. And I was like, I want to know everything I can know.
Yeah.
And so before I get off work Friday morning, and I'm gonna go on a run. Before we had a ultrasound appointment that morning, and then we're gonna go to Barnes and Noble after. So I'm on the run. It's not raining. I'm in a good mood. I'm like, I'm gonna go get this book. I was really
Yeah.
excited to get this
Uh-huh.
book and to start reading it. And I leave the house. It's a great morning, and I just start getting poured on.
Mhm.
I mean, poured. I was pissed, dude. I was so mad.
That storm came out of nowhere.
Nowhere. I
I know
looked, there
exactly
was
what you're talking
nothing
about.
on the radar. There
Right,
was
yeah.
nothing. It wasn't supposed to rain all day.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I hit the gym up there and I just
Mhm.
get pissed on.
Yeah.
And I look over not 2 blocks and it was dry.
Uh,
But the route I was on just getting poured on. I make this whole loop that I make like 5 or 6 miles and I get back to the house. I get back to the house. The ground ain't even hardly wet here.
mhm.
It's just dry.
It was strange. Yeah.
The the route that I usually run back towards the river, dry. And so halfway through this run, I started getting pissed, and I was just like, because in my mind, I started thinking, I'm like, why would God do this? Like, I'm trying to do good here. I'm
Mhm.
trying to be on my run and be a good boy. Like, why is God like raining on me right now? And then I'm like, well, maybe it's not. I start thinking, I'm like, maybe this is the devil. I've
Mhm.
had this like, I want to go get this book. And maybe this is like the devil just trying to like
Yeah.
get me off my game mentally.
That's right,
He
yeah.
knows like if I get pissed off, then I'm not going to be in the mood to go to Barnes and Noble. I'm just going to want to do this IV,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back home,
Uh-huh.
not going to go get. And I was like, okay. I said that maybe it was the devil. So that I
Mm.
kind of shift my
Yeah.
perspective. And I'm like, the devil's trying to get me. I was like, nope, I got my miles in. Fast forward, we go to Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, hey, this is the book that I'm looking for. I can't find it anywhere. And she pulls it up on the thing, and she was like, yeah, I don't think we. She goes, wait a second. And she looked, and she goes, oh, we have one. She said, we just got it in today. It just got in one copy of it. And I was like, that's the shit.
There you go.
And to me, in my mind, I'm like, that's God.
Yep.
That's like, I could have very easily not been in this store, been pissed off, and I'd already like I'd already been thinking about like the rain and like the devil trying to get at me, and like
Yeah.
I'd already had these thoughts. And whenever she brought it out and she was like, "Here it is," I was like out loud, like audibly, I was like, "Yes!" I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, "You have no idea the morning that like the mental
Right.
steps I've been going through, and now you're telling me that like." You just so happen to have this one copy, and the morning I come look for it, here it is. I was like, "Let's go."
And so in our interpretation of those events is what kind of molds us into our belief system, right?
Yeah,
I'm not playing one-upsmanship here, but I'm gonna one-up you on this
yeah,
one, okay?
Well, yeah. Let's do it.
So, and not to bring rain down on the party, but my father passed away 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
He wasn't the healthiest guy, but he was doing great up until then, and so.
Very sorry to hear that.
So that was Wednesday the 17th, morning of, and I have the text messages to prove it. So I was on Monday, was texting a friend back and forth, and I said, "Hey, I think I need to start rocking a chain. I need a chain,
Yeah.
want a necklace,
Yeah, there you go.
And the person was like, well, you do you like what kind of chain? I'm like, I don't know. Like you get like, I mean, I follow a lot of fitness and lifestyle kind of brands, and eventually the Jackson chains and the Samson chains and stuff start kind of showing up in your feed. And I was
Right.
like, am I too old? Would I be too stupid to wear them?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm looking through there and I'm taking pictures of them or whatever, and then I finally kind of come to the conclusion, like, I'll go shopping one day and look for them or whatever. So anyway, Wednesday morning, I get up, going to the gym to do my cardio. My mom calls, panicked, so I go to my mom and dad's house. My father's passed away. So we're there, I pull up, there's lights and sirens all over the place, and sit out there and hug my mom for, hour and a half or 2 hours while they're doing all their things in the inside. We go inside. My father's body is still in the other room, waiting on the coroner, or the coroner was there. We were talking to the coroner, waiting on the funeral home come pick him up. So, we're sitting there and we're going through all of the medical history and medications and yada, yada, yada. And funeral home gets there. They, get him up on the cot, and they're like, they come into the room where we're sitting with the coroner, and the funeral home says, hey, we're getting ready to go. Do you want to come in, say your goodbyes, whatever? Because we hadn't cremated. Again, not a religious family.
Sure.
We're like, no funeral services, no anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, of course, so we go in there, and not the main funeral home guy, but this little assistant says he had some change in his pocket. I put that on the table in there, and I was like, okay. And he's like, and he had this, and he takes his hand and he does this, and he pulls this.
Nice.
So, and like, I've got chills now. So sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you, Tom.
So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I never fucking in the world have said the words that I think I need a rocket chain.
Yeah.
But this will never leave my neck now.
Yeah, you're destined for that one.
Yeah. And it just so happens to be this. And again, my dad's not a religious guy. He probably had this just because he felt like he needed some sort of pendant on there.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy story. So whenever things like happen to you and things that happen, that instance happens, I'm like, how can you not say that there is? I mean, that goes so far beyond coincidence. It goes so far beyond, like statistical probability. There has to be some sort of divine intervention there, right?
Has to be. I agree. I agree.
So, do I go to church? Do I do those things? I don't, because I don't. I would love to be able to read the Dead Sea Scrolls and actually comprehend it.
Sure. On
a level that I felt like I was getting something out of it.
Sure.
I love the Book of Enoch just like anything else, but I think it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I have a copy of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
I
haven't read the full thing.
Yeah. But it's wild, right?
Yeah.
It reads like a J.R. Tolkien novel, but by the way, I'm the same thing when it comes to reading. I'll go on reading kicks. I'll buy 10 books and read a couple pages out of them, and then they'll sit there. So I'm right there with you. It must be a bad thing.
Well, I'm really with like my comprehension skills. Yeah. Right. So I'm the same way. It could take me 10 minutes to get through one page because I'll reread a paragraph over and over until I feel like I fully understand it. And that's what I just started doing. Like I said, I open, because I've tried to read the Bible a couple different times, and I get these like apps, and it's like you should read it in this order and it'll make sense. And every time I hate like jumping back and forth, and I was like, no, I'm just day one. I was like
Genesis 1:1.
Yeah, take me back whenever there was nothing, and I need to know exactly. And like I'm only like literally 50 pages in over the last week, because I'll read a couple passages and then like I go back and I read it again until I fully. And a lot of this has also been piqued my interest due to the recent Israel conflicts and all the stuff going on, is because it's like I want to know like what these people's problem is, and I want to know like this distinction between like God's chosen people, and I want to know like they claim that this land was given to, and then whatever, but you find out that they're not God's chosen people, and that they were at one point in time before they decided to be basically what they do, but. That's kind of what sparked my whole interest in it. And it's like I also can't help but notice too, kind of like we're saying, like I can't help but notice like I do feel some sort of something whenever I read it. Like that's what I've kind of noticed too. And the more I slowly read it and I actually understand, and like I had to break it down. It took me literally an hour to get through Adam and Eve to Noah and his 3 sons, and that's like the first 10 pages.
Well, because 2.5 pages is like son of this, son of that, son of this person.
Yeah. I skipped. Well, I skipped.
Do I even keep notes on this? Like I feel like I'm like drawing a thing.
See, that's how I felt at first, and then I realized I was like, okay,
I can just glaze over this part.
Yeah, I'm like, this isn't really. It's just descendants, know. Yeah. So yeah, I got getting past that, and so yeah, it took me like. Just to, because I wanted to understand, like, where it all started, and like how, really understand how it started, because it was Adam and Eve, and then, God sent the flood and wiped everyone out. So then essentially we all just come from Noah. And yeah, like I said, I just can't help but notice it was something. So my grandma just passed away like 2 weeks ago, and she's Catholic, and she had a big Catholic funeral and the Catholic mass and the whole nine. And, I'm not Catholic, my mom is. But even just like during the Catholic mass and like the songs and just like being in the church, like during her funeral, it's like I just can't help but like notice that I just feel like
Hmm.
kind like emotional or like whatever it
Right.
is. Like
Yeah.
I just can't help it. It's the same thing whenever I read through the Bible a little bit,
Hmm.
and like afterwards, it's like a same
Some sort of pool, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
every time. And I can't help but
Yeah.
like just
We should start a podcast series, Two Idiots Discuss the Bible.
we should, dude. We
I'm
should
gonna read
just
it
try to
with you. I'm
learn,
gonna go to Barnes and Nobles on the way home.
dude. I'm down. Let's do it. It'd be fun. Just try to figure it out.
Figure it out.
Just try
We
to
don't need any outside input. We're just gonna give a
yeah. No, all I need is what this book, and it's yeah, like I said, because you're being atheist, I
Mhm.
feel like it requires so much more faith.
It's
You have
yeah.
to believe that like everything just came from like nothing for
Yeah,
no
I don't
reason.
understand. I don't get it. I don't
Like
understand it.
all of this happened for no
Yeah.
reason. We came from nothing for
Hmm.
no reason.
Hmm.
I'm just like,
Yeah. And I think that, a lot of the alternative kind of lifestyle kinds of things, I think it's just a moniker. I think it's just a name that people just gravitate to.
mhm.
It was, I'm a Gen X kid, right? So, I mean, it was, atheists and agnostics, and there was bands that were like Agnostic Front, like all these kind
Yeah,
of bands that were around then. It was like their claim and their value, whether or not they were, if it was just for theatrics, I don't know, but it was. Uh, I think that if you pin those people down, I feel like the same thing about the people that kind of, not the actual people that claim Ukraine, Russia, like you don't have really a foundation of what you're doing. Like, does
yeah,
does your does your does your does your does your argument fall apart in the second or third question?
right,
Because I
yeah,
don't really think that I don't, and it's because of my own ignorance. I'm not saying that there's aren't people that are just convicted out there that this
right,
is what they are, right? I get it. And people may have personal reasons why they feel that way. I get that
sure,
also. And but I don't hate you because of that,
sure,
and I don't
sure.
want to fight you over it,
Right. I don't want to drop a bomb on your
Right.
apartment
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I
of
don't,
it.
yeah. Right. Yeah. So, again, a white middle class, upper middle class kid is not going to understand
Yeah.
that kind of,
Mentality or
issue or mentality.
whatever it
Right. Yeah.
is. Yeah, that comes from that. Yeah.
But yeah, two idiots discuss the Bible, dude. Let's do it.
You want to?
Hell yeah.
One episode a week. We
Okay.
could do like
Okay.
whatever day,
Okay.
in the 6 days leading up.
Right.
We lay out passages to read. We
Right.
read them on our own. We come together and let's just
Dude, I think it's
talk about
has
it
blocked
and
most
figure it
people
out.
over it.
And just try to figure it out. Two guys that are just don't really know much about it. And one, like I said, because it's just interesting to me
Yeah.
because, I remember being, like, there's no way God exists. Like, and if God does exist, then he's evil. Like the things that have happened in my life, like
Sure.
there's no way
Yeah.
an all glorious God would
Uh-huh.
allow something like this to happen. And,
Yeah.
um,
You get into that whole free will, self-determination kind of thing, and that whole, like, Sam Harris, if you've heard it, if you've listened to much Sam Harris, he's a, kind of a devout atheist and will argue tooth and nail about,
yeah,
how it, free will and determination and all this other stuff. I just don't, like, you have choices, you have, and bad things happen,
yeah.
um,
Well, and
but
it says in the Bible, dude. That's what he says
yeah.
in there. God tells us in the Bible, according to the Bible, that, it's, and which is really crazy too, because I'm just now reading and getting into the Dead Sea Scrolls too.
Mm-hmm.
Eerily similar to the
I
Bible.
got so much catching up to do.
And whenever you start to like think in your mind, you're like, wait, this was written 400 years before Jesus ever walked the earth. You're like, what were these people? Until like,
Yeah. So you may have already done this though. Have you seen Zeitgeist?
I've heard of that. I don't know
Okay.
what that is.
I need you to tonight.
Okay.
Instead of reading,
Okay.
I need you to devote 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Go on YouTube, type in Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist,
Okay.
and watch it.
Okay. What's that? What's it? Just like a broad
Just
reference,
watch it.
just
So
to
it is
like about God.
It is it gives all the parallels between Set and Thoth and the Epic of Gilgamesh and all these kinds of things that are kind of, just watch it.
Okay.
You watch it and we'll discuss it next
All
time.
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have gone deep down this rabbit hole, but I'm the idiot that went deep down the rabbit hole and never read the Bible. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So throughout my 30s and 40s, I would say, my views have been very skewed towards that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I've never picked a team. I'm
Right.
always kind of stuck in this gray area as far as it's concerned. But I am 100% down for doing a
Yeah.
two idiots learn the Bible.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
All right.
As soon as we get done with this podcast, we're gonna schedule this out.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it just what I was saying about like what it talks about in here, within the first couple pages, it goes on about truth and injustice, and it says that whenever God created the world, essentially what it means in the Dead Sea Scrolls is the same thing. The Bible is good and evil. That He created truth and injustice, and it says in there very very specifically, it says that God will make sure that every man on earth walks through periods of both among some time in their life. There will be nobody that walks through just a period of unjust, and there'll be nobody that just walks through, a period of truth or good or whatever it is. There will be no man that could come before God without having experienced both of these things in the form of flesh. The thing is, what's kind of scary is though what it talks about how like what determines it all though is where you lie on what side of the fence that God decided to come back.
Right. Yeah.
Where are you at on the day that He comes back? And it's like you break that down into a couple different things, and like it can be, it can kind of be scary because that could be any time, and like any point of any day, I could just, depending on my mood, I could just think for a second, I'm on the unjust side and I'm like mad at God or whatever it is, and but also on the flip side of it, that's like a really positive and one of the most, again, if you want to talk about free will, the fact that it was, a God that, created us to the point of where like He gives you the choice. And even if you've spent your whole life hating Him, like you still have the opportunity to come to the true side. And like, as long as that's where you're at the day that He returns, it just, like I said, whenever I read these things, it just, I can't help but just like feel some sort of attraction to it. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so now take that concept of life tests, right? And apply it to your life, right? I mean, your story's out there, right? So you've been through some trials and tribulations, right?
Sure.
And you could have easily gone down the other way. Well, not as easily. That would have been easier.
Yeah.
This is the hard. What you're doing is the hard part, right?
Yeah.
So that chosen path that you've gone down is what I'm sure it's a daily struggle. You don't have to say yes or no to that, but I mean, it's a daily struggle for anybody who's going through. There's tests every day. How you answer that, or how you which path you choose, really kind of depends on which where your compass is pointing, right? Where your moral compass is at. Do we want to stay drunk, get high, go out and fraternize and all the other things, all the time? Well, man, it sounds fun.
Sure.
But gosh, you can't do that, right? You got responsibilities. You got a baby on the way. You got a wife at home. You got all of these kinds of things. So those risks and benefits that for every choice that you make there has to be a decision made, right?
Yeah.
And those decisions that are made are typically based off of however your upbringing is, I guess.
Right.
So
yeah, a buddy I was talking to the other day made a good point. Like I said, I'm all still very new to all the religious stuff, and I'm just still a dummy to all of it. But he made a good point. He said, I can't remember the philosopher that he named. He's smarter than me. He but basically the point was that how do more people not contemplate the idea of suicide? Because it's like, if you stripped like my family from me, like there's typically just like a couple things that keep everyone going, and it's like, for me, it's like family, and now it's like this kind of just new interest in religion, and then like being healthy, daughter on the way. But like if you strip those things from me, as far maybe not, besides the spiritual, let's say you leave that intact, and what you think. But if you stripped everything else from me, would my faith in God alone be enough to like carry on? Like, would my faith alone that like there's something greater to live for, would I be able to continue if you stripped everything else from me?
Dude, that's a great question, man.
And like a lot of people wonder, and they don't have that. And it's like a lot of people, they don't have that inner faith, and a lot of people, they don't have families, or they don't have these reasons that they want to get up and continue to do better. So it's like, how do more people not just consider just ending it?
Well, the
On,
thing, yeah, think of it, put it on even a more materialistic level. I mean, you're talking
mm,
about family and everything else. What about people that don't have their clothes, their car, their
yeah,
all of this kind of material word kind of stuff, this very simplistic surface level kinds of character traits that they have.
yeah,
When you strip those away, what kind of person do you have? I mean, there's
yeah,
plenty of those people out there.
true.
It's strange, man. And the more and more, and even this conversation that we're having here, which is not at all the direction whenever you come in here and sit down, it's not at all
It
the
never
direction,
does.
direction that you think you're going to go.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
why I stopped. I used to like try to write down points before like conversations, and
yeah,
then like I stopped. I don't even do
just
it no
roll
more.
with it.
Well, I'm like, it never getting that way.
Even this conversation right here makes me think that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
There's this conversation.
Yeah.
There's another instance too that now, I mean, and it literally it's like coming to me now,
Yeah.
in kind of what the meaning behind it all was, because we just opened up a new office, and that's not a segue into talking about Optimize or anything like that, but we just opened up a new office, kind of here in Newburgh. And if you were in my old office, so
Mhm.
you know that I had like Lebowski, Fight Club, and
Yeah.
Conan, up there.
Yeah.
Well, I have a smaller office now, downsizing, so I don't have those anymore. And Andy, our GM, and myself were kind of walking around uh, downtown Newburgh the other day, just kind of trying to get ideas about decorating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I found this, and this was well before my father passed. Gosh, this is really gonna hit now. So I found was at Stella's, this kind of furniture store here in town.
Hmm.
This huge picture of this pale horse, huge picture. I mean, this picture is probably 6.5 foot tall by 4. It's crazy huge. And I thought it drew me directly in. And I always try to think of you know, what kind of meaning can I have behind this? Because otherwise it's just a picture of a white horse, right? It's a beautiful
Sure.
horse, but I thought, okay, well, behold a pale horse, Revelations 6. I can't remember which one it is, but anyway, Revelation 6 is, I think it's 6, and behold a pale horse, and upon him rode, the death, right?
Yeah.
So, I thought that's it, because the decisions that you make, especially, at, like optimized decisions,
Sure.
are like, God, you got to get to living, man.
Yeah.
Why we can fix these kinds of things, get to living. So I bought this horse picture.
Yeah.
This horse picture is in my office now, and it's right behind me. And it's really kind of one of those kind of like, like Stoic philosophy, kind of memento mori, like
Yeah.
remember that you will die, There you go. So
I got
yeah,
Memento Mori
perfect.
tattooed on my arm. How
Yeah,
crazy is
there you
that?
go. So memento mori, remember that you will die,
Yeah. Yep.
So, whenever like that has always been kind of a driver behind my decisions, especially recently,
Yeah.
because I have the faith in myself and the confidence in myself that I can make things happen. I know that it's not going to put me or my family in jeopardy or any of my friends in jeopardy or anything like that. So what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Like, just do it,
Yeah.
So I bought this horse as the constant reminder that death is right there,
Right there.
you know? So, if you're scared to do something, or if you're fearful, or whatever,
Mm.
if it's something that you want to do, make it happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
That
that's crazy, dude.
yeah, dude. I agree so much. I tattooed it on my body.
Right,
You
yeah.
know,
Right.
remember every day that you must die.
Yeah.
All of this will come to an
Right,
end.
yeah,
And,
right.
one day all this will be for nothing, and you'll be forgotten about.
Right, yeah.
So like, what
Yeah.
is it? So you might as well make it
Right.
worth remembering now, because
Right.
once you're gone, it's gone.
Yeah,
It's
that's it.
over.
That's it.
Yeah, I had a weird, like, kind of talking about death. It's really interesting. I said my grandma just died, and then it was right after my grandma had passed. The young girl got hit up here on the bike,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and passed away. And then there was another accident, not like a couple days after that. Another woman got hit, and she ended up in the ER, really, really bad shape. all within just like a couple of days. And I just remember it was like, kind of just like, I was just feeling like kind of dark overall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like a weird reminder of like, I was like in the middle of like a run and, like had, these thoughts come to you whenever you're in the like
Yeah.
midst of a long run. And this thought comes to me and it was like, oh, this is death, like reminding you, like I'm all around you,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
And it was like a weird. I had a feeling like all of these deaths I was seeing, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is almost like, I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I see you. Like this is, almost like a, because I went from a point 2 years ago where I tried to end my life and was unsuccessful,
Mm-hmm.
luckily, and that's what shifted everything
Mm-hmm.
into like my believing of like there's some other reason that I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hadn't been back to the idea of death, for a really long time. Things have been going really good the last couple of months. Like I have no complaints for the first time. It seems like in a really long time.
Yeah.
Like things have gone really well. And then it was like, oh, this was like death being like, don't forget,
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
here and I'm
Right.
all
Yeah.
around you all the
Yeah.
time. And it's like I remember I was like on a run and I almost like
Yeah.
stopped and like looked around. I was
Right.
like, whew.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I was like, I hear you. I
Yeah.
feel that. Like
Yeah.
that realization I just had, it like almost gave me chills. I was like, okay. I was like, I was looking around for like
Yeah.
a shooter or something.
Yeah.
I was like, there's someone
Right.
following me right now.
Yeah.
Like,
So I mean, just like live life, be kind, whatever you can do to make everything better, make your
yeah.
fellow man better, make them better. It's just it's all of those because it's going to be over.
Hmm.
And that's become incredibly prevalent to me recently. And it's 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 just time to not that I don't feel like I was doing that, but it's just a reminder. It's like
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah. And
That's
like I said,
it.
the idea of like, even if you spent a lifetime praising a higher power, and let's
Hmm.
just say that you turned out to be wrong,
Hmm.
what
Yeah.
did you really
Right.
lose?
Yeah.
And it's you can look up the statistics. It's very obvious whenever you look up statistics of marriages of people that attend church or even just like pray together,
Yeah.
or couples that even just like study the Bible a little
Uh-huh.
bit, or like
Right.
the numbers of people that don't get divorced whenever you just do these little things.
Uh-huh.
It's so drastically different. And
Sure.
to me, it's like to just dismiss all of that
Hmm.
and just like that not be enough for you. To me, it's like, okay, you just want to
Right.
be
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, to me, that's like a type of person. I'm like, this conversation may not be worth it, I think,
Yeah.
because not that
Yeah.
it's just like we're just obviously
You're
not
just a
ready.
contrarian, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than just somebody just being a contrarian.
Yeah, yeah. You just
It's
want to. You just want the
you just
mad
want to
dog
argue
every
the
single
opposite.
point
Right. Yeah.
that someone could
Yeah.
put out there, and it's like,
Right.
okay, that's not good faith,
Right.
like
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No matter what. I mean, I know a few, and it's just like it's just miserable to be around them, and I'm always open to criticism and different opinions, and certainly will go that route, and humble enough to say, you know what, you're right, I'm wrong. Let's go that way.
yeah,
But people that just do it to be doing it,
yeah,
it's just no matter you bring up an idea and they're instantly, they're on it like, oh, okay, well
yeah,
that's just her or that's just hurt him,
yeah.
let's move on. What's everybody else think?
Right. Yeah. Well, we already knew that was coming. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what does someone else have to say? Yeah. Then you like think on the flip side, it's like, well, but let's say that we spend all this time and we just decide that no, we're not going to, and there
Uh-huh.
is no higher power, and
Uh-huh.
like all of this is just by chance,
Yep.
and the universe just so perfectly is created in this system of oxygen and this
Mhm.
perfect like with nature and like what they put out, what we have to breathe in, and like
Mhm.
your body is made
Yeah.
up of all these parts that if you
Right.
took one little
Yeah.
part
One
out,
little
nothing,
twist this way.
everything you are is just nothing more than a pile of flesh at the end of
Right.
the day.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, so let's say all of that is for chance and you believe
Mhm.
that and you die on that hill and then you're wrong,
Mhm.
It's like, I think I'd rather just like maybe live the life of like a little bit of hope and faith and
Sure.
like
Yeah.
on the, even if it is wrong or whatever, then like chances are you probably lived a better life just because
Mhm.
of the beliefs that you had.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we went. I mean, I go to a bunch of concerts. So September was concert intense month. Uh, but we were at Louder Than Life in Louisville for 4
Mhm.
days. Me and my kids. Great time, wonderful. you see so much sadness there. You know, and like you're at a 4-day festival with great music. Right? I mean, you may not like the music, but I mean,
Sure.
yeah, but you know, if I love the music, and so
Right.
if you like the music, you know, and is there dark sentiments in a lot of the music? Absolutely. You know, ungodly type, you know, lyrics and things like that, meanings? Certainly. But but that doesn't mean that has to be you. Like, what are you living? You're living like this character, and I can't stress that enough. That you know, so many people are trying to live as a character and just not be themselves
Yeah.
because you're at a 4-day concert festival. This ticket cost $700. You're staying in a hotel or a camper that you're with
Hmm.
friends and family and all this other stuff. Be happy.
Yeah.
My gosh, you know where you're not? You're not in Gaza.
Yeah.
You know, you're not in. You know,
Right.
you're not feeling compelled to. You know, to protest or fight to defend your land or
Yeah.
all these kinds of things. You're here and just be happy. You know. So there's just, I think the people that are try to like, you know, be anything other than themselves is just. I think that goes along the same lines of people that just can't find happiness or you know
Yeah.
just trying to live out this idea of what they think they should be or whatever. And it's just,
Yeah. Whenever you break down like the center of those people, and a lot of times you kind of find out like, yeah, they're lacking that moral compass or that,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, whatever that is, whatever that higher power. And again, even if, like I said, even if it's not like God in the sense of like
hmm,
everyone else, the way, like I said, I just explained that some rain and some other stuff had me, you know,
sure,
convinced that
yeah,
like the
right,
devil was on my shoulder. So
right,
like,
yeah,
it's all just perspective and
right,
however you
yeah,
decide that you want to look at
yeah,
it. But just like to be, I think,
yeah,
like I said, just contrarian to the fact of like, there's got to be something else
yeah.
going on other than what we can see. Is just
And trust me, and you'll feel the same way. I know that people have. I mean, you know, we're very blessed, very fortunate,
hmm.
very you know we're doing well in the world, right?
Sure.
And there's people that don't have that. I get that. Trust me. I see it all the time. But there's people that do have that and still choose to not be, you know,
Yeah.
happy or not to be, you know, to try to be at least put some effort into being, you know, finding the positive in things, you know.
Yeah. You think there's some sort of correlation probably between those people and their lack of like some sort of religious belief?
But sure,
You know,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I'm just trying to think, you know, you just don't run into a lot of people that are like spiritual or have some
yeah.
sort of belief higher power that are like having those kinds of issues. It seems like they have other issues, of course,
Sure, yeah,
but not, I feel like
yeah,
these issues
yeah,
specifically that we're kind of talking about of
yeah.
like just nothing being enough and
Right,
the
yeah.
money's not
Enough.
enough
Oh
and the
yeah. Oh
everything's
gosh,
not
yeah.
enough and
Yeah,
like,
I don't, you know, and I have in my line of work, you know, I encounter those people a lot, you know, where they're, you know, have everything in the world, or could have everything in the world, from a financial standpoint. It's not happiness. They're not. You can't buy that.
yeah,
People that are really poor, you know, that or people that are having a really hard time in life, a couple $100,000 would really do them well, and
right.
could probably get them to a place where they could breathe a little bit easier, right?
Yeah,
People that make $1.5 million, $2 million a year, $200,000 is nothing to them. Like
right.
it's just you know,
Yeah.
it's nothing to me, you know. So that's not it's just perspective, man. It's just
Yeah.
perspective, you know.
Yeah. That, yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of life just in general, you know, it just seems like a lot of people, you know, which I guess is just easy to do. This, like, it's kind of a victim mentality or
Sure.
just whatever it is. Like, you know, it's the easier route to
Yeah.
take, you know, it's
But I think we have to recognize too that sometimes victim mentality comes from being a victim. You know,
true.
I
Sure.
think that I mean there is bad shit that happens to people.
Yeah.
You know, it's just god awful stuff. People, you know, like kids see god awful things,
Mm-hmm.
families see god awful things, and and I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Um, and I hate the, you know, pick yourself up off your bootstraps and, you know, like get your ass up off the ground and just be happy. You know, I don't want to
Yeah.
sound like that guy either, but you know, you know, I feel like there is a percentage of people that just they claim this atheistic or agnostic or kind of this persona that equates to just being dark and unhappy.
Yeah.
Not the true people that don't that have the real issues.
Yeah. Well, that's what the problem I think comes in, because now, like I said, you have people that are struggling with like real issues, and like I just a little something about myself.
Right.
Back whenever I was getting sobered up, and I had me a nice little couple days stint at a little sober house and a little place over there at Deaconess or whatever it was. I stayed there for a couple days to get myself straightened up a little bit, and there was a girl in there that was chronically depressed. And I had thought for a long time that I was like, I dealt with depression, anxiety, and whatever, and I had never been around someone like with chronic depression like that was crazy to see. And I couldn't imagine, like,
oh, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe I don't have that, kind of thing.
I started to feel real bad about some of the things I had like pitied upon myself. I was like, oh wow, I was like, I'm just kind of a pussy, maybe. So I think whenever
and I think there was a lot of people at Louder Than Life that probably need to see that person. So it's the fact that you guys are at this festival. It's a it's a festival. It's supposed to be fun.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a so you're not chronically depressed, locked in a sober house for for a couple days stint, or whatever it may be.
Right.
So again, I just think a lot of people play a character, and I think if you play that character long enough, it becomes you, right? But it's, that's just who you are, because that's who everybody knows you as, right? And then you run in those same circles, and then that just becomes an echo chamber, and then you're just there, right? You're just locked in.
Yeah, and everyone forgets that there's another side of that too. Like the people that what is it? I think the book is Think and Grow Rich. I think is whenever he talks about writing down the steps that you want to make this amount of money, and you want to do this, or whatever it is, and then living out every single day, not under one day I'm going to be this, under the kind of mindset of I am this right now.
Right, yeah.
And I am this person that I'm envisioning every time I wake up, and every time I put my shoes on and walk out the door. Right. Imagine that, no, I'm not striving to be that person. You should already be imagining, like, because then if your whole point is just to like, you're trying to work to be something else that you're kind of envisioning, I think you're kind of taking away from what it really means to just like,
you're just constantly
be yourself.
To be that person, right?
Yeah, you're just chasing a vision of something that you think is happiness, instead of like taking the time to sit down and actually putting into like, write it down, like what is really would make you happy. And then instead of just like imagining that, just do those things. That sounds like just so easy to say.
So it's if I wake up tomorrow and I say I'm a millionaire, how do I maintain myself being a millionaire? Well, what do millionaires don't do? Well, they don't waste money. They properly and smartly invest. So if I do that, then eventually I become a millionaire. If I spend my money like pseudo millionaires or whatever, then it's not gonna make it.
Right. Yeah. It's all same way. If want to, and I think that's been one of the best things, that as far as just kind of my personal transformation and things, like I think it's good to have those role models and to understand like you got to have kind of some sort of an idea, and it's good to, like I said, to have people to kind of look up to. And I think what people get lost in today, a lot of people, it turns into it's like a weird line between like a role model and an idol, and I think it's weird. It says in the Bible, you should have no idols on earth. Your only idol is the one and higher power of God. Like we don't idolize people here, and I think that's important. I think that's something you see now, the way that we idolize like superstars and these people that we don't even know and don't give a shit about us.
Right. Yeah.
And like we want to put them up on a poster and like think that we're gonna do everything we can to be like them. And you just spend your whole life just literally trying to be someone that.
Well, there's an old saying,
and they have you convinced that it's what you should be doing.
Yeah, like, never meet your heroes, right?
Yeah,
because you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to find out they're just like you.
You've built this idol up in your head, and there's no way that person is going to live up to that.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
I tell you. Before we get out of here, before we wrap it up, About to be in your new spot. Open
Yeah,
up
yeah. So we opened
Newburgh.
up right down the street here, if I can remember, 4944 Old State Route 261. Yeah, Suite 5. So we have more than doubled our space. So we have plenty of space for all our toys now. We have all kinds of new service lines coming and new recovery modalities on the way. Super excited about that, and we have space for it.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. Um, we loved our previous space. We loved we loved the our experience out there at Lawman, but we just got we got too much stuff,
Yeah.
and the opportunity came up to come to our new place, and so we have that. We have in-house content and podcast studio that we're really excited about, so we can do all kinds of education content right there on the fly. We don't have to worry about finding studio time or setting up somewhere to go do
Sure.
it. We can go in there and shoot it out
Yeah.
and get it out to the masses pretty quickly. We have a new provider coming in November to help accommodate all the influx of patients. So all great and positive things that are going on. Yeah, man, we're super excited about it. We're
Yeah.
really excited to be able to bring it to Newburgh and work in the synergy that is that complex there.
Yeah.
With Newburgh Fitness and the Flexibility Company and the kickboxing,
Yeah.
CrossFit boxing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say what it is, but anyway, the boxing gym that's down there in the corner.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of services in that Privé Suites that kind of are just kind of a little bit lateral to what we do. So yeah, I mean, it's great. We're super excited about what the potential is there for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thanks for taking me through there yesterday, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it. It was
Yeah.
cool to get to see a little behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
I
It's gonna be
like showing off into like,
Yeah.
go see it, because it's just so much. Well, it's brand new for one thing,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it's it's just real exciting, and I know that you and I will be spending plenty of time in there,
Yeah.
doing
doubt.
some fun stuff. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to it, man. As for you guys, we got. If you guys haven't saw, I got another race coming up in 2 weeks. I got a lot of support last time. I just want to say thank you for that. We got another one coming up in 2 weeks to see if we can be better than the last time. Make sure you guys are checking out Hydrate 1-2 IV Therapy. Get those IV scheduled. You can find my wife Briley on Facebook and Instagram. I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I love you. Thank you for all the
guys.
support.
Thank you.
Peace.